This court will recognize Ms. Erika Kirk as the designated victim representative in this case.
I know she's going to be in trial, I think, in February and March.
And you guys can see on full display what happened to my husband, and there is no ifs, ands, or buts or confusion as to who did it and why.
Rumor is moving fast online right now, and it's the kind of story that spreads because it sounds shocking, not because it's confirmed. Posts are claiming there was a hidden behind-the-scenes deal, that a perfect scapegoat has already been picked, and that the public is being pushed to accept one narrative before any verified evidence is on the table. But here's the problem. When a story locks in a conclusion this early, the internet doesn't slow down. It spirals. People start hunting for patterns in names, timelines, and relationships, and suddenly speculation starts masquerading as proof. Nothing in these viral claims has been independently verified, but they're being shared like it has. So before you pick a side, let's break down what's being said, what's missing, and why it's trending is not the same as it's true.
And are you aware that the DNA evidence that was seized from the scene consisted of a mixture of at least 5 different individuals?
I'm not a DNA expert, so
you know enough to say what helps him, but you're not going to answer whether or not there were 5 individuals mixed into that DNA.
I'm not aware of that, no.
Okay.
One of the biggest red flags in any viral case is when people speak in absolutes before the process even begins, before a jury is selected, before full evidence is presented, before anyone is cross-examined, and before a verdict exists. Online, that case-closed energy sounds confident, but confidence isn't confirmation. Another red flag is when a claim tries to borrow authority by attaching official-sounding roles or titles, because that can make viewers drop their guard. And then there's the part that always triggers comment sections. The moment a story treats innocent until proven guilty, like it only applies to some people, not all. If a narrative demands you accept a conclusion now and stop asking questions later, you're not watching justice, you're watching messaging.
Father, forgive them, for they not know what they do. That man, that young man, I forgive him.
And when a story starts demanding silence, it doesn't reduce speculation, it supercharges it. The internet reads, "Don't discuss this as there's something to hide," even when that's not actually true. Another thing that fuels these spirals is out-of-context clips. A laugh here, a casual moment there, a tone shift between 2 appearances, then suddenly it becomes evidence in people's minds. But tone is not a timeline, and vibes are not verification. A short clip can be edited, a conference call can be misunderstood, and a serious face on camera can be performance as much as it can be grief. If you want the truth, you can't build it from impressions. You build it from documents, confirmed reporting, and what can actually be proven, not what feels suspicious.
And you guys can see on full display what happened to my husband, and there is no ifs, ands, or buts or confusion as to who did it and why.
The last piece that usually hooks people is the connected dots segment. Family locations, shared states, old business rumors, screenshots of profiles, and claims that someone knew someone. But a connection is not a crime, and a coincidence is not a conspiracy. When online posts start naming companies, relatives, and alleged contracts, that's where misinformation can do real damage, because it turns private people into targets without proof. Even if a screenshot is real, it doesn't automatically prove wrongdoing, timing, intent, or involvement. If there's a real case, the only place the facts will hold up is in verified records, official filings, credible journalism, and evidence that can be challenged. Until then, the smartest move isn't picking the loudest narrative. It's refusing to treat speculation like a verdict.
It's really powerful because Charlie knew that you don't just talk about the youth, you talk to the youth. And he has put us in a position where this is such an authentic and true movement. I mean, case in point, you have high schoolers, some of them that are walking out for those Ice Out walks. Our students, instead of walking out, they're holding hands in a circle around the American flag praying. There is a huge juxtaposition between what we are providing for our students rather than the other side. And so it's really powerful. And Charlie, before he told the team, Andrew Cipher was in that meeting, our chief field officer, he said, "I want a high school chapter on 35,000 high school campuses." And Andrew's like, it's so, so important. And I'm just honored and blessed that Charlie entrusted not just to me, but our whole entire Turning Point USA team to carry this mission forward.
Utah Valley University later said they allowed that courtyard section to be changed for safety reasons and memorial preparations. But the suspicion online didn't cool down because the university reportedly wouldn't publicly say who did the work. And when a key detail like who was the contractor is missing, people don't wait for documents, they fill in the blanks. Then one user on X took it further and cited Google Trends, claiming there were over 100 searches for Precision Granite and Marble LLC coming from Israel in November 2021. That claim sent people into overdrive, especially because online posts also insist there was never a registered company by that exact name operating there. But here's the caution. Trends data shows search interest, not involvement, and it can be skewed by news cycles, bots, VPN traffic, similar keywords, or even a single viral post. Still, when you stack unnamed work, altered locations, family business rumors, and weird-looking data patterns, it creates a timeline that feels too convenient to viewers. At this point, the most responsible stance isn't conclusions. It's verifiable questions and receipts.
But we serve a just God, and I rest easy in knowing that He's sovereign, but He's just. And so let the Lord handle that.
So what does all of this actually mean? Some people are framing it as a coordinated influence campaign, even a psychological operation, but that's a massive claim, and without hard evidence, it stays speculation. What is driving attention right now is the public-facing behavior and messaging people think they're seeing. Statements that sound absolute, then shifts in tone, then legal urgency, then more interviews. Online, that combination reads like pressure and narrative control, whether that's fair or not. And viewers haven't forgotten the early clips, moments that were interpreted as forgiveness and faith, followed later by moves that look like push it faster energy. The internet doesn't process that as nuance. It processes it as contradiction. But it's important to separate three things: what was said, what was actually filed in court, and what can be proven with records. Otherwise, you're building a verdict out of vibes.
Absolutely. I want there to be no hesitation in understanding of what happened to my husband that day. I want there to always be full transparency, because what I don't want to have happen is for there not to be, and then I am relying then on social media and other news outlets to explain the narrative rather than saying, hey, this is what happened. This is what here's all of the, it's just as hard, all of the facts on the table for you guys to see. And you guys can see on full display what happened to my husband, and there is no ifs, ands, or buts or confusion as to who did it and why.
Then there's the detail that made a lot of people stop scrolling: the attorney's name. Posts claim the lawyer involved is Jeffrey Neiman, and some viewers immediately started connecting him to older controversial Epstein-era legal history. But this is where the internet often gets messy. Names get mixed up, roles get misremembered, and connected to can mean anything from directly involved to loosely mentioned. Even if a past overlap is real, it doesn't prove wrongdoing in a separate case. It mostly affects perception. Still, the questions people keep stacking are clear. Why the urgency? Why the rapid push to close the loop publicly? Why the nonstop certainty before a trial plays out? That's why for anyone trying to stay grounded, the only real move is to verify. Check the actual motion, the timeline, and credible reporting. Because threads can be loud and still be wrong.
How is it that you go into young people and you convey to them the authenticity of what is happening in this country? What do you say to them?
You can't explain authenticity. You either feel it or you don't. Charlie was very good about that. He never had to over-explain who he was. He was phenomenal on his daily show. He was just an amazing man. Everyone knew that. Everyone could see it. And thank gosh we have all of his videos that we can see for years to come. But the young students see authenticity and they can immediately sniff it out.
And that brings us to the latest media appearance. Viewers say the interviews are starting to feel less like a legal update and more like a message campaign, where the broader organization and legacy takes center stage and the case becomes background noise. Then a question like, what does authenticity mean, lands differently, because it signals the media team knows exactly what the internet is saying. But the problem with authenticity answers is that audiences compare words to old clips, old calls, and old moments that are still circulating. Whether those clips are fair context or not, they've become part of the public's memory. So now the reaction isn't about one interview, it's about trust. The more people feel like they're being managed, the more they dig. And with key dates coming up, the internet is basically treating this like a countdown. What else is going to surface and what will actually hold up when it's tested against documents, filings, and verified reporting? What do you think? Messaging panic or normal media strategy? Drop your thoughts in the comments.